And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at an expansion for Flip City called Flip City Reuse. Now, Flip City is a very intriguing deck builder that I showed you a while ago, where you could take cards and you're making a deck builder, basically buying cards, adding them to a deck, but they're flipping over the course of the game, and so one side means one thing and one side needs another. A really neat game, and I thought it really shines with two players. Well, Flip City Reuse adds two more decks of cards to that, so two more cards. So this is not going to be a really long review. In fact, let me just show you what these two new cards are. So this expansion adds two more decks of 14 cards each, a plumber shop and a flea market. So you're going to take one of each of those cards and they get added to each player's starting deck. The flea market, it goes to a recycling bin, and the plumber's shop turns into a recycling agency. So let's take a look at what each of these does. So first we'll take a look at the flea market, which is the recycling bin on the other side. This is a very inexpensive card, and essentially this one here, you can always, in the discard pile, flip it to get another coin. So you flip it to get another coin, and then it turns into the recycling bin, and then you can pay a coin to flip it back over. When it's in your discard pile, you can leave it there. So essentially, if you have an extra coin to spare, when you have a recycling thing, you can flip the recycling bin over, right? You're upgrading it or turning it back to the flea market, and then you always have this extra coin to spare. It's an okay thing. You can leave them in your deck. I don't know that this one is necessarily a game changer. It's intriguing and I use it, and it's kind of nice at the beginning of the game. Sometimes you need that one extra coin. You throw it in your discard pile and leave it there until you get it. It's just that once you do flip it over, this recycling bin is kind of just a pain in the neck. It just clogs up your deck. So until you finally spend a coin and flip it back over, then you have the useful flea market again. The plumber shop and renewal agency is a much bigger game changer here. Now the plumber shop is expensive, brings out happiness and gives you two, so that's cool. And then it also lets you discard the top or bottom card from all opponents' decks. Now that's okay. It's kind of a pain in the neck. And at the beginning, I'm not so keen on this one being one of your first cards because of that, because of this constant having to discard and top or bottom cards at the beginning of the game, but it's not the end of the world. And if someone has left a pretty cool card on top of their deck, hey, now's a good chance to get rid of it. What I do like is that you can upgrade it to the renewal agency. The renewal agency is pretty neat. It gives you 3 coins, but it can only be used for flip and develop actions. Well, that's really cool. This is the 3 cards, so later on you're trying, maybe I want to upgrade the hospital to a church. Well, that costs 4 to upgrade it, but this gives me 3. So this 3 can come in pretty handy when I want to develop. So I want to pay 8 to just straight up buy a church. This is a discount of 3. The disadvantage, of course, being that you can't use it to buy new cards, but still the renewal agency is pretty handy in that regard. And hey, you can flip it for a coin if you want to. So I like this plumber shop and renewal agency even more than the flea market and recycling bin. So that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot more to talk about this. If I have any kind of complaint, it's that I don't really want to keep buying little 2-card things. I would have preferred that they came out with like a standalone expansion that had a bunch of cards. You could mix and match them. As it is, these two, I'm like, all right, throw them in. I don't add or subtract cards. We're just going to use these both. You add the 2 cards, and I like them. They're fun. They don't really change the game. In fact, I could teach it to someone who's never played before with these cards at it. And maybe that's the point. But then again, the point is, why not just have included them in the game in the first place? I don't know. I guess this is such an odd minor complaint. It's just like, it feels like this is neat. It's cool. It's nice to have 2 more cards, but is it worth it to go and find this expansion and add it to the game? It almost felt like there wasn't enough oomph in this it's almost like getting some promos, I guess. But let's take all that out of it. Like I said, I really like the renewal station and the plumber shop a lot. I thought that was a good combo, especially the renewal station. This does add that theme of recycling to the mix, that coin for later, and more and different cards is always a good thing. I still think Flip City's best with 2. These cards do not change my opinion on that. I still like the game a lot. These cards do not necessarily change my opinion on that. So I like this expansion. It's good. Not necessary. I would get it, I guess, because I want more variety in the base game. It's just that maybe I want even more, and I'll still wait for it. But still, a cool little expansion for Flip City reuse. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!